Today our topic is how Stoics dealt with loneliness. Loneliness is something everyone feels at some point. It can come when you are physically alone, or even when you are surrounded by people but feel disconnected. The Stoics, ancient philosophers who lived thousands of years ago, had a lot to say about dealing with loneliness. They believed that loneliness is not just about being alone, but about how we think and feel about being alone. Their ideas can help us today, especially when we feel lost or isolated. Let's explore how the Stoics handled loneliness and what we can learn from them. First, the Stoics believed that loneliness is not something outside of us. It is inside us. They taught that our emotions, including loneliness, come from our thoughts and judgments, not from the world around us. For example, if you feel lonely, it is not because you are alone, but because you think being alone is bad. The Stoics would say that loneliness is not the problem. Your judgment about it is the problem. This is a powerful idea, because it means you have control over how you feel. You cannot always control whether you are alone, but you can control how you think about it. One of the most famous Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, was a Roman emperor. He had power, wealth, and people around him all the time, but he still felt lonely at times. In his writings, he reminded himself that even when he was surrounded by others, he was responsible for his own peace of mind. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realizes this, and you will find strength." This means that no matter how lonely you feel, you can choose how to respond to that feeling. You can let it control you, or you can control it. Epictetus, another famous Stoic, was born a slave and faced many hardships in life. He taught that we should focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. When it comes to loneliness, he would say that being alone is not something you can always change, but your attitude toward it is. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is a key idea in Stoicism. If you feel lonely, instead of focusing on the pain, you can focus on what you can do to improve your situation or change your mindset. The Stoics also believed in the importance of self-reliance. They thought that relying too much on others for happiness can lead to disappointment. If you depend on others to feel good, you will feel empty when they are not around. Instead, the Stoics taught that true happiness comes from within. You must learn to be happy with yourself, even when you are alone. This does not mean you should avoid relationships or friendships. It means you should not let your happiness depend entirely on them. As Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." In the same way, the greatest remedy for loneliness is learning to be at peace with yourself. Another Stoic idea that can help with loneliness is the practice of gratitude. The Stoics believe that we often focus on what we lack instead of what we have. When you feel lonely, it is easy to think about the people who are not in your life or the connections you wish you had. But the Stoics would remind you to focus on what you do have. For example, you might have your health, a roof over your head, or the ability to think and learn. By practicing gratitude, you shift your focus from what is missing to what is present. This can help you feel less lonely and more content. The Stoics also believed in the importance of purpose. They thought that having a sense of purpose can help you overcome feelings of loneliness. If you have something meaningful to do, you are less likely to feel empty or disconnected. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be, live to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This idea reminds us that life itself is a gift, and we should use it wisely. If you feel lonely, try to find a purpose or a goal that gives your life meaning. It could be helping others, learning something new, or working on a project you care about. When you focus on your purpose, loneliness becomes less overwhelming. Another way the Stoics dealt with loneliness was by embracing the present moment. They believed that worrying about the past or the future only adds to our suffering. When you feel lonely, It is easy to dwell on past relationships or worry about future ones. But the Stoics would say that the only moment you have is the present. By focusing on the here and now, you can find peace even in solitude. Epictetus said, "We are not given a good life or a bad life. We are given a life. It's up to us to make it good or bad." This means that your life is what you make of it, even in moments of loneliness. The Stoics also believed in the power of perspective. They taught that we can change how we see our situation. For example, instead of seeing loneliness as a negative thing, you can see it as an opportunity. Being alone can be a chance to reflect, grow, and connect with yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This means that solitude can be a time to turn inward and find peace within yourself. Instead of running away from loneliness, you can use it to become stronger and more self-aware. Finally, the Stoics believed in the importance of helping others. They thought that one of the best ways to overcome loneliness is to focus on the needs of others. When you help someone else, you forget about your own problems and feel a sense of connection. Seneca said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This means that even if you feel lonely, you can reach out to others and make a difference in their lives. By doing so, you create connections and find meaning in your own life. In conclusion, the Stoics had many wise ideas about dealing with loneliness. They taught that loneliness is not about being alone, but about how we think about it. By changing our thoughts and attitudes, we can find peace even in solitude. The Stoics believed in self-reliance, gratitude, purpose, and helping others as ways to overcome loneliness. They also reminded us to embrace the present moment and see solitude as an opportunity for growth. If you feel lonely, remember that you have the power to change how you think and feel. As the Stoics would say, the key to overcoming loneliness is not to avoid it, but to face it with strength and wisdom.